Good afternoon. I'm here to try to make a short video about using fly cutters, and you see a lot of things out there on YouTube about fly cutters and how you should grind bits, and you know, this angle, that angle, and on and on and on. What I've found on using my old Logan 8520 knee mill, that by the way was designed for half-inch bit maximum, and I'm swinging approximately a 3-inch cut here, which is way more than this mill should do. I'm getting a marvelous finish, and you know, make some pretty aggressive cuts. When I say aggressive on this mill, you know, 10-15 thousandths on a 2.5 to 3-inch piece is pretty aggressive. By using a right hand radius bit, that my lighting is terrible, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this at all, but anyway, the radius right here, okay, is almost perfectly flat in this direction. So meaning, using it in the lathe, it has just a bit of rake on it, but actually for what I'm doing, the rake is the wrong way. So exaggerating, it's actually this way, and in theory it should be this way to help shear. Okay. So, and of course I'm doing all this grinding in that on an old belt sander and just a cheap grinder. No $1,000 Baldors hanging out here. So anyway, here we go. I'll make this cut through here, and you see what you think. You draw your own conclusion. And I will say that you always, on this small mill, you always want to snug up all the gibs you can. So here we go, and we're running at about 500 RPM, and I'm not using any coolant, no WD-40. And I don't know how many inches per minute I'm running here. I'm just cranking with my left hand, trying to keep it as, you know, consistent as I can. Now when you get done with this, if you want to make a skim pass of just a thousandth or so, it is absolutely a marvelous finish. I hate to bore you with all of this, and when I get through to put this out on YouTube, I'm not good at all about editing. In fact, I don't know how. So, but you do have the fast forward. You can click through it if you're interested at all. So I guess you can see there's another thing I'm not good at, and that's making sure the camcorder battery's charged. And we're going to end up with a line in this because I stopped. But this side here is just glass smooth. So here we go, starting it up again. Now you can see the chip stacking up in the middle of the cutter head, and of course it's going to throw those out, and it may or may not scratch the finish. But I went out onto Banggood and bought a 2-inch base mill with these highfalutin carbide cutters, and I had terrible results with it. And I tried to get a hold of their customer service. They advertise having inserts that are made for aluminum and copper, but I can't find them. I've written them 4 or 5 emails about it, and I simply get these canned replies back that are totally meaningless, have nothing to do with the question I asked. So here I am back at I think I paid about $22 for a set of 3 of these fly cutters, and this is the largest one. And as I get on to the off the end here, there's not much going on in there. The camera decided to fall over a little bit. But thank goodness the fly cutter and the bit I ground do a better job than my video ability. Okay, so here we are. We're done. We're through for however long that took. Okay, and when I brush this off, the only thing you're going to see is my handprints. I don't know if you can see the reflection off of stuff on that, but this is absolutely a marvelous finish. You can feel nothing. In fact, the oil on my finger messes up the finish. So that's with a $22 or so set of fly cutters, 1/2-inch shank, running in a mill that's too small to swing them, and using a 5/16 bit run at about 550 RPM. Alright, here we are at belt grinder I made a few years back, and I set the table to 10 degrees, and this is pretty common for grinding fixtures. Here's a factory grinding fixture, and this angle is 10 degrees in reference to the face. So if this table of mine was setting level, this would grind you at the right angle. And this is for a 5/16 bit. So anyway, years ago, Mr. Pete 222 put out a good video on how to grind tooling, and he had some wooden mock-ups, and he took a red pen and marked the angles. So what I'm doing now is grinding just a radius end bit that I use a lot of times in metal lathe for removing material, and it does a very good job, very smooth job. So here we go. So anyway, just rock it back and forth. Not rocket science. Just come up and make your line disappear, and all the way around to the corner. So what you end up with is an edge that looks like that. All right, so this is 10 degree. That's a 10-degree back bevel. All right, now you could use this bit this way. However, I'm going to set up the table and cut a bit of relief on the back side. So let me get that set up. Okay, so now I have the table set perfectly flat, okay? And in reality, normally I would put a bit, 2 or 3 a degree rake, either left or right, depending on whether I'm going to use the high-speed tooling in my metal lathe or in a fly cutter. But for right now, we're just going to cut it straight. Hey, how are you? Good. Thank you. Okay, so now you're looking at the relief I just cut. I'm not sure where you can see the best picture of this, but anyway, there's a bit of a relief, but it's exactly flat across. And when this sets in the fly cutter, actually you would want to relieve this some up on this side. So as the tool comes around, it'll shear it. This will be the sharpest edge down here, and it'll shear coming up that way. Be right back. All right, I'm going to have to do this left-handed. So we're going to take the least amount off the top side, and hopefully I can do this without getting in the way of the camera. All right, it might be hard to see, but if you look at this, you'll see that there's more depth on this side and less depth on this side. Thereby, when you put this in your fly cutter, the shearing edge is down here. Okay, once again, I've taken 2 or 3 tool bits that I have cut for the metal lathe, and a couple of them have been the radius type bit, some have been just right hand cutting bits, and no matter what I put in that fly cutter, it does a really good job. So to me, the grinds are not nearly as critical as some people make out. Now if you're going for a micro mirror finish, maybe yes, but you have the option to do anything you want with a piece of high-speed steel later. Just as an add-on to the end of this video, here's something that I mocked up from what Mr. Pete had shown me some years ago on one of his YouTube videos. And this is, of course, for a metal lathe, the way it's set. Goes in a right-hand tool holder, so you would approach your work with the workpiece being on this side. And this is a 90 from here to here, but yet it's set 10 degrees off this direction. So I like to make it simple. That's also 10-degree back cut, which might be a little more than necessary. This is 10 degree in the front, and the rake up on top is also 10 degrees. So it's easy to remember, do a 10, 10, 10. The other end is, now I did not radius the tip of this at all on the wood mock-up, but this is used to face, and this is a 10, 10, 10, and with this you can get up into some tight corners with a very, very small radius. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video a little bit. Good luck with your fly cutter.